Today, he is talking to us about inclusive by design, universal design for learning in the world language classroom. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Christopher Hromalik.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. It's very good to see all of you today, and thank you very much for being here. I'm just going to take a moment to share my screen, and then get my desktops all in order here. Thank you, Angelica. Thank you for inviting me to be here today. Good afternoon. I'm Christopher Hromalik, and I'm professor of Spanish at Onondaga Community College in Syracuse, New York. And I'm also the chair of the ACTful Distance Learning Special Interest Group. I'm very excited to be with you here today to talk to you about universal design for learning and the world languages classroom. But before I begin, again, I want to thank Angelica for inviting me to be here to talk with you today. And I'm truly honored to have the opportunity to give this talk today. Before I go any further, I wanted to share the link to this PowerPoint presentation with you. So I'm going to take just a moment now and see if I can copy that link into the PowerPoint into the chat here for us. And that way, you can download this yourself if you want to follow along. And there is a bit.ly link if you wanted to type that directly in as well too, which is http://bit.ly/ then my last name, capital HROMALIK _ capital L, capital R, capital C, capital U, capital D, capital L. So if you'd like to follow along, I also, while the talk is going on, there will be a transcript in the notes as well too, where I've kind of approximated some of the things that I'll say, where if you want to take that with you and look at it afterwards, it's not going to be exactly 100% what I say, but it's going to give you an idea of what I talked about today if you'd like to take that with you. So my overarching goal for all of you today is that I'm hoping that you'll each leave this talk knowing more about UDL and how to apply it to your classroom. And so by the time I'm done with this talk, you should be able to define universal design for learning, describe the 3 principles of UDL, apply at least one recommendation for accessibility to your own course materials, and then potentially select at least one UDL-based strategy to use in a course you teach. So community college students represent a diverse group in terms of age, ethnicity, gender, and class, as well as academic preparation as well. In addition, students with disabilities may choose to attend 2-year community colleges instead of 4-year colleges and universities. However, there may be faculty at community colleges who may not be aware of how could they provide a more inclusive learning environment and more inclusive learning experience for all students. Faculty at colleges, universities, including community colleges, tend to be content matter experts and are not necessarily experts in pedagogy. A means of providing a more inclusive learning environment for all community college students, including students with disabilities, may be the Universal Design for Learning framework. So I'd like to start off by asking and seeing if we could maybe put a few things into the chat. I was going to ask if any of you maybe learned something new over the last year. For example, maybe if you learned to bake bread or sew or knit. Go ahead and type in the chat if there's something that you learned that was new this year, something that you may have taken up, a new hobby, for example. Ooh, I'm seeing some great things coming through already. Lots of great ideas. So the guitar, greatly improved elementary piano skills, woodworking. Wow, lots of things coming through. Excellent. I'm seeing gardening, yeast dough. So using Zoom. There we go. I'm seeing using Zoom twice in a row like that. That's excellent. So I'm seeing that that's something that's important to everyone as well too. Oh, decoupage as well too. Interesting. Homeschooling. Yes. Oh my goodness. Definitely for sure. Online teaching. Yes, for sure. Definitely. Definitely. So for those of you who did learn something new, if you learned a new skill during the lockdown, how did you learn that? Did you learn from a book? Did you learn from, I don't know, a video, an online recipe? Did you receive help from a friend over YouTube, or excuse me, over FaceTime or over Zoom, for example? So I'm hearing YouTube, online videos, mentoring. Yep, yep. Yep. I'm noticing one of them was a combination of sources. And so it seems like there may have been some things that maybe worked better for you than other ways. And in many cases, many of you consulted more than one source. You said it was a variety of sources. So the same is true as we think about the students that we teach as well. Some of them may learn very well being in a face-to-face classroom, hearing the input right there in the moment. Others may benefit from being in more of an online environment. Maybe they prefer to be in a more hybrid environment where they're taking some of the credits are being taken during in the online environment, and then they take some of their instruction in the face-to-face environment. But the idea is we all learn differently, right? And so that's when we start to think about learner variability and what that is. And the idea behind learner variability is that each of us is somehow unique in the way we learn. And this becomes important as we think about designing instruction, because a one-size-fits-all approach may not necessarily work for all learners. And I'd encourage you on your own time, as I said, I shared the PowerPoint presentation. I'd encourage you to take a look at that PowerPoint presentation and click on the link that would take you to a talk from Todd Rose, who discusses the myth of average. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to show you the clip today. I sometimes do in some of the talks I give, but I'm just going to briefly summarize what it says. And so Mr. Rose tells about a problem that the Air Force had in the early 50s, in 1952. The Air Force had built state-of-the-art planes, but the results of all the test flights they were having was that it seemed like the pilots were flying worse than before, even though they had these brand new planes. It wasn't that the pilots weren't flying as well, it's that the cockpits themselves hadn't been designed right. They had been designed for the average pilot, assuming that if they designed for the average, it would fit most pilots. And so after a study of around 4,000 pilots, looking to see what the dimensions were in terms of height and weight of each of these individuals, they found that none of them were average on all 10 of these dimensions. So what had happened is, instead of helping everyone by designing to the average, they'd end up helping nobody in the end. So Rose goes on to explain that learners aren't average on all dimensions of learning either. So some learners may excel at math. Some will be, we'd hope that more of them are language aficionados, right? But the idea is that by providing a flexible learning environment, we have a greater chance of being able to have a more successful experience for the students that we teach every semester. I'm going to take quite a bit of time talking about universal design for learning today, but I wanted to start with universal design. And by following the principles of universal design, it's possible to design products from the start so that they're accessible to and usable by all. And if you're wondering what that means, let's take a look at a few examples. So curb cuts are a classic example of universal design in action. In the image that you see here on the PowerPoint slide is of a sidewalk where there is not a curb cut. So here you see a sidewalk that just ends abruptly, and there's not a smooth transition from the sidewalk down to the street. So as you can imagine, it would be difficult for a person using a wheelchair to move from the top of the sidewalk down to the street below. But then, if I put a second image up, you'll see that here we have a curb cut, and there is that smooth transition from the top of the sidewalk down to the street below. And so a curb cut, one of the primary purposes, of course, is that a person using a wheelchair is able to descend from the top of the sidewalk down to the street level. But then there are also some other benefits that come from it as well, too. So as you may or may not see here, there are some bumps at the end here, those yellow bumps at the end. That allows someone who's blind to know when they have reached the end of the sidewalk. In addition, if we think about it too, if you're pushing a child in a stroller, a secondary benefit is that pushing a child in a stroller is a lot easier. You don't have to go up and down the edge of the sidewalk. You can go down the smooth ramp from the top of the sidewalk down to the street. So another example is automatic doors. And in the first image, we see an accessible entrance that opens when someone waves their hand in front of a sensor. And automatic doors provide an accessible entrance for someone who uses a wheelchair, but it also benefits other people. Like for example, if you have to carry heavy luggage into the airport, for example, it's a lot easier if the doors automatically open for you somehow. And as language instructors, closed captioning is very important as well. Closed captioning allows content to be shared with the deaf and hard of hearing, but it's also helpful to other people as well too. For me personally, as someone who's my L1 is English and L2 Spanish, I'm interested and I watch television shows in Spanish on a regular basis. Every morning I get up early to watch television in Spanish. And there are some times every so often where I'm listening and there may be a new expression I don't know or that I don't recognize that just goes by too quickly. And so I'll rewind just a little bit, turn on the captions, and then like, oh, okay, that's what they said. Or, oh, there's something new for me to learn. When my daughter wants to watch TV after dinner, she's finished her homework and I still have dishes to do, or my wife is also doing dishes. It makes a lot of noise. It's the room right next door. But she'll turn on the captions so that while my wife or I wash the dishes, then my daughter can still hear the television and also see what's, she can also read what's being said if she can't hear it. So what other universally designed products can you think of? Is there anything else, any other products that you can think of? If you want to share one in the chat that you may be aware of. Anybody have anything they'd like to share? So bottles and cans in what sense? In what sense would that be? Oh, okay. So I'm seeing automatic faucets and soap dispensers. Yep. Oh, they open the same way. Okay, interesting. They open the same way. Okay. Yep. So door handles. Oh, interesting. Coins of different sizes with ridges. Interesting. So that you can perceive them differently, which we don't, we do see in a lot of other countries as well. We do see that different sizes of bills as well too in many other countries. So I think, for example, of I thought of some other ideas as well. The electric toothbrush. I'm seeing pill bottle lids that were designed to be larger, so easier to open and close as well too. Yep, excellent, excellent. Yeah, I think of, for example, the electric toothbrush was originally created to assist someone who may have limited motor skills, but now dentists recommend them. That was when I was at the dentist the other day. They recommended an electric toothbrush to clean my teeth. The original purpose of audiobooks was to help people who are blind, but now audiobooks, anybody who's on the go is taking an audiobook with them. The flexible drinking straw was originally meant to help children. So if I remember, the inventor was watching as his daughter was trying to drink from a glass of water with a straw, but the straw was up so high that she couldn't do it. And so the flexible drinking straw makes it so that a child is able to drink from a glass as well too. And we use them all the time now. I'm seeing lots of great ideas coming through. Excellent, excellent. It's great to have such an interactive group. This is great to see. Let's talk about UDL, Universal Design for Learning. So Universal Design for Learning extends this idea of universal design to the classroom. So you'll hear me talk about CAST quite a bit today. CAST is the organization that created the Universal Design for Learning framework, and they continue to support inclusive educational practices. And so I'd recommend going in and doing a Google search for CAST, CAST UDL, and you'll see just a ton of resources that you can use to help you get more interested and more involved in Universal Design for Learning in your classroom. So Universal Design for Learning is a design framework based on scientific insight into how humans learn. And the idea is to design from the start to be accessible and usable. So if we think about designing from the start, the idea would be that we can serve all students better if we're proactive instead of reactive. We don't need to retrofit or scramble if we've thought ahead of time of how we can better serve all the students that we teach in our classroom. And there are 3 principles to UDL. So we thought about earlier, we talked about some of our interests, some of the things that we learned when many of us were in lockdown, or even just over the summer as we were preparing to teach online. We all have interests in different topics. And so we learned earlier about some of these different hobbies, and we all differ in what we find interesting. So the principle multiple means of engagement emphasizes the idea of providing options to learners so we can gain their interest and help them become more self-regulated learners. Learners are also different in how they perceive information. And so for that reason, we want to consider providing multiple means of representation. So this means providing options for how learners access information, how they access your instruction. And the idea behind this is to be able to address variability in perception. And finally, since learners are different in how they express themselves as well too, the third principle is multiple means of action expression. And the idea behind this is providing options for demonstrating knowledge. So as you probably noticed, the general theme through all this is providing options, providing flexibility in how we present content, how students demonstrate their knowledge, and how we help to pique the interest of the students in the classroom. And I'd also like to clarify 3 terms that you've probably heard me use or that you may have heard used as well. The first one is accessibility, and that refers to the extent to which information can be perceived by all. And this means we've made sure the information, a document or a presentation or a film or a TV show, can be perceived by all people regardless of ability. And we hear the term compliance. It tends to refer to accessibility. Usability goes beyond accessibility and refers to the extent to which a product can be used by all. So an example of the difference between accessibility and usability might be if we think about a web page, for example. It's possible to make a web page accessible so that it can be accessed by all, but if it's not tested with users, it's possible that it may not be easy to use. It may not be usable. Think about, for example, if you ever tried to go on and pay an online bill, and sometimes it can be really challenging because it's hard to know where some of this information is when you go there for the first time. Maybe you're trying to purchase a product from a new site. And of course, you're trying to submit an assignment to a learning management system. It may technically be accessible, but is it usable? Is it something that's easy for students to find and easy for them to use? We want to make sure that we're keeping in mind accessibility and usability. And then universal design and universal design for learning is the idea of designing from the start to ensure a wide range of people can access and use something. So UDL is meant to help all learners overcome barriers. And we want to keep in mind the idea that if instruction is universally designed, it should ideally support students with disabilities, but it can also make for a more socially just and a more equitable learning experience for all. Okay, so up until now, we've kind of gone over quite a few things so far. I want to go back to those goals and the objectives as well. So the goal was I want each of you to lead this talk knowing more about UDL and then how to apply it to the classroom. And so hopefully by now we have a better idea of what universal design for learning is and a better idea of the 3 principles of UDL as well. So multiple means of engagement, multiple means of representation, and then multiple means of action expression. I want to just note a couple things that when we talk about universal design and universal design for learning, there are a few things to keep in mind. You may hear sometimes that UDL is just good teaching. In a way, that's true. It is good teaching. But I like how Dave Eddyburn stated it in an article from 2010, that if UDL were good teaching, then what have we been doing up until now? Obviously, we're all teaching very well, but we continue to see that there are many populations of students that struggle to succeed. And so the idea behind UDL is more than just good teaching. It's proactively making changes to how we teach to help all learners to be successful. And I'm going to share some strategies in just a few minutes that you can do to get started and hopefully get you interested in learning more. So as I mentioned, it's about being proactive, designing from the start to consider barriers to learning for all students. And I would also encourage you that if you are going to try any of these strategies or try something different, or even really dive into UDL, let students know if you're making design changes. And this is something I remember reading in a book by Robert Diamond, who was the founder of Syracuse University's Project Advance. In his 2008 book, Designing and Assessing Courses and Curricula, A Practical Guide, he mentions this. Let students know if you're making design changes. Get feedback from them. Let them know. And then Luis Perez from the National Center on Accessible Educational Materials at CAST says to ask students to tell you if content isn't accessible. And this serves a few purposes. And one of the main purposes is it's good to let students know that you recognize their right to learn independently. And this will allow you to then, if you recognize that they learn independently, they can tell you if they can't access something, so you can make sure they can continue to learn independently on their own. And it also helps too, because we don't want to lose students because they can't access the information. We want them to be successful. And so this helps us to be able to better support them as well too. So on that note, let's start with some first steps. So I'm going to give you some things you can do, maybe before Monday even too. I'll give you some small changes, maybe a couple of things that are a little larger changes. But the idea is just to kind of get you started and get you interested. So we'll start with accessibility. So I talked a little bit about accessibility, making sure that students can access the information they provide. And I'll talk a little bit about universal design for learning as well too. So one of the first steps is language teachers. This is one that is very important, is to make sure that you're setting the document language and marking changes in language. And so the reason this sometimes will happen with us as language instructors is there may be times we're changing from one language to the next within the same document. And so if that's the case, why is this important? Is that a student who is blind or a student with a learning disability who's using a screen reader, if the language isn't set correctly, an incorrect voice could be used to read the text. So think about, for example, if you've written down me llamo in Spanish, and all of a sudden an English speaker instead is saying mi llamo, and it's being pronounced incorrectly. Oddly enough, this does happen a lot of times with the EPUB text that we have, is that if the text is not marked correctly, then it's not going to be read correctly to our students. It unfortunately happens more often than we'd like to see it happen. If you're using Word or PowerPoint, you can select the text, then choose language under the Review tab, and then select the language. And if you're on macOS, you can choose language under Tools, and then set the language as well. So for any documents you have, you're making from this point on, nice and easy. It takes just a few minutes to make sure that the language is marked correctly. If you're not sure if their language is being marked correctly, remember they have those in Word, they have the red squiggles. And one of the benefits as well too is that it gets rid of the red squiggles, so it's a lot easier to read as well. Another important accessibility recommendation is alternative text. So alternative text is a text-based alternative to non-text content. So this is the idea, this is text that's sort of in the background. So you can't actually visually perceive it, but if you're using a screen reader, you can hear this alternative text and it says what's in the image or what's being represented in this content that's being presented visually. So to add alternative text, you right-click on the image, for example, or right-click on whatever the object is you're adding alternative text to, and then you click Edit All Text and write a brief description. So I made this one very brief. Man drags heavy luggage. And that's that's pretty much all that needs to be known from this picture. Sometimes you might write a little bit more if there's more information, but in general, the idea is brief information. And finally, multimedia create or multimedia for publishers. Ask your publishers if captions are available for videos. Ask if there are transcripts available for the audio files, and ask them if they have audio descriptions for the videos they're providing as well too. The thing is that textbook publishers, we can bring about change with them, but we have to insist on it as well too. But they want our business just as much as we want to give it to them. And so we want to make sure that they're providing materials that are going to be accessible to all of our students. Okay, I want to give a few steps related to universal design for learning. Along the way, I'm also going to ask you for some of your thoughts as well too. So when it comes to multiple means of engagement, I had mentioned earlier that providing options to learners to help pique their interest is going to be important when it comes to providing multiple means of engagement. And me personally, one of the things that I like to do with my students is I like to provide opportunities for reflection. And so this helps, you can provide, for example, weekly assignments of reflection in an online course. That's what I personally do. It gives them a chance to set goals at the beginning of the semester. They can break those goals into short-term objectives in another assignment. Right after the first test, I ask them to reflect back on the progress they've made in achieving those goals. At different times, I ask them with whom they study and what they can do, thinking about what they can do to engage with their peers, to ask questions of the instructor, to seek help as needed. I ask them to consider their learning environment and thinking about the instructional materials they use and how they're using them as well too. So a great way to think about reflecting on their learning and to think about how they're working towards their goals. Many of us use cooperative groups in our synchronous online sessions. We use partner activities or group activities in the face-to-face classroom as well. And oftentimes we do provide clear goals for the group activities. But one thing we might want to consider is to allow learners to choose their roles with clear responsibilities within these groups. Maybe, for example, especially in our synchronous online sessions right now, I've personally encountered quite a few students who have said that in a face-to-face classroom, they don't feel the same type of anxiety that they're feeling when they're learning in the online classroom. So for example, one student has found that being on camera with the gallery view going on is quite challenging for her. And so what I've recommended in that case is we have different roles within the group. This student doesn't serve as the reporter in the group at all, but the student has been serving as the scribe within the group, or they've been the leader of the group, keeping everyone on task. And so they still participate, and I'm able to go into the group and hear them participating in the target language. When it comes to reporting back to the rest of the class, though, on what they've learned from their partner, that's something that they feel a little more comfortable not taking part in that role. And finally, as we know from as language instructors, this idea of providing authentic tasks, which we do, providing relevant activities like we do, that's also a part of universal design for learning as well too. The idea of providing these authentic tasks that students complete is something that we want to make sure that we continue to do as part of universally designed classroom. Relevant doesn't necessarily mean fun or games. It could, but really it's more looking at the authenticity of the task and reflecting a purpose that's going to be clear to students. So how do each of you provide multiple means of engagement to your students? Or another way to look at it might be, what new strategies could you use of those three that I just presented? How do you provide multiple means of engagement to your students, or what new strategies could you use? Feel free to put that into the chat if you want, if there's something you want to share. Ooh, we've seen some things come through already. Yep. Ooh, I like that one. Exit tickets in the Zoom sessions. Excellent. Ooh, I like, yep, curated, yep. Yep, thank you, Catherine, yep. Jen offered text, video, audio. Oh, nice. Choice for assignment formats, yep. You can answer questions in chat or speak them out in chat, yep. Exit tickets, yes. That's a great idea. Yep. Seen lots of things open in assignment. They can choose the form. Yep. Excellent. Excellent. Yep. Alternative assessment tools students can choose. Excellent. Excellent. Great ideas. This is really neat. I like when I get to take part in these activities as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit later on about the UDL Academy, which I was fortunate enough to be part of. And I always felt that I learned something from all the participants, something I walked out of there with as something I could bring back to my own classroom. So I'm looking at the group chat right now and thinking, wow, I would love to use some of these ideas myself. So thank you all for sharing. I appreciate that. Now, in terms of multiple means of representation, this is the idea of thinking about the fact that we all perceive information differently. So by providing options for how information is represented to learners, we can provide a more inclusive learning experience for all. So a quick UDL strategy that you could start using on Monday, if you haven't done so yet, is uploading PowerPoint presentations or Word documents ahead of time to the learning management system, for example. And the idea behind this is that when you upload accessible PowerPoints or Word documents to the learning management system ahead of time, this can help students who are blind, for example, who can benefit from having access to them ahead of time. It also benefits students who work with an interpreter, because interpreters benefit from viewing documents ahead of time and can provide a more accurate interpreting experience for the student as well. And what you'll find as well too is that some students who may struggle with organization as well too, they find that they can print a PowerPoint note sheet ahead of time. They can be more organized when they come to class as well. So as you can see, there are some primary benefits, but also then some secondary benefits where all learners now, all students who are in class are prepared. They know what's expected of them and they know how to be ready for class that day. We oftentimes think, when we think multiple means of representation, we think providing multiple media, like videos, for example. Videos are great. But what I might have you consider is thinking about Thomas Tobin and Kirsten Behling, their suggestion from Reach Everyone, Teach Everyone, where they suggest identifying single stream presentations of content. For example, is there an explanation that's only available via text or only by video with no captions? And if so, then think about how you could create a what they call a second stream. So caption the video maybe, or prepare an equivalent text-only version. Or if it's only available via text, create a brief video as well too, so that you have more than one way that that information is presented. And if you're going to go ahead and prepare that video as well, you might as well, one thing to do is script it before recording to have it be clear and concise and short and to the point. And also it's helpful when you upload that transcript to YouTube because it captions better than the auto captions. And then you can also share those resources across modalities. All the things that we're creating right now for COVID-19, consider sharing them with your students in your face-to-face courses if you haven't done so yet. These additional resources are helpful to all students, especially though if there are students who find that fast pace of a language course in a classroom to be challenging, having those extra resources are helpful. And then providing a template, graphic organizers, concept maps to provide help with note-taking for students is also something that's very important. In fact, providing that PowerPoint ahead of time and teaching students how to create a notes page where you have 3 slides and then 3 places to take notes is also helpful for students who may need support for note-taking. So how do you provide multiple means of representation to your students? Or what new strategies will you use? Anyone have any strategies they use already? Or are there any ones that they feel that they really want to use now?
And actually, Chris, while people are adding some of their thoughts, one question that came in that maybe you can address real quick is, what if the instructor is neuroatypical and struggles, for example, with having materials ready ahead of time?
Yep, good question, good question. One thing that I found is when I uploaded, I started uploading my PowerPoints ahead of time quite a few semesters ago, and it was after over 10 years of teaching at that point. So I did have that advantage of being able to have quite a few years of experience and be able to put everything up right at the start of the semester. But I let students know that I would be making changes at times if there were things that I wasn't able to do right, like if I came up with new ideas, or if I found that we took longer in one class session and I needed to make changes to the PowerPoint for the next class session. And so what I would suggest is you can make it available ahead of time, but let students know that it may not be the exact PowerPoint you use. It may be that you may make changes closer to the day of. Might be a way that you could go about it. So I'm seeing lots of great suggestions coming through and great question. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Excellent questions. I'm going to continue on just in the interest of time. We have probably about 10 minutes, and I want to leave time for questions as well too. I wanted to briefly share some ideas for multiple means of action expression as well. And this, as you may recall, is how we provide options for how students can demonstrate their knowledge. One quick thing that you can do to support students as they're demonstrating their knowledge is to estimate effort, resources, and difficulty. So in other words, one way to do that is how much time could an assignment take, or how much time will a reading require to complete? And I remember seeing a talk from Thomas Tobin where he says, read it yourself and then multiply it by 1.5 times. I'd say go even further. I would multiply it by 2 because everything always seems to take twice as long as what we would expect. So if you read it, double the time it takes you to complete that reading, and that'll be a good estimate for students. Another suggestion I'd give is to provide a model. And what I mean by that is provide them with an example assignment that's been completed so that students can know what it is you're expecting of them. You could create a sample yourself, but what I'd suggest is reach out to a former student who completed a high quality assignment. You could ask their permission to anonymize and share their work. Make sure to get, if there's any official paperwork from the university, make sure to have that signed so that you can refer back to that later if there are ever any questions. But whatever that time is spent collecting that paperwork and such, it saves you a lot of time answering questions about how you want the assignment completed, because they can see how you want the assignment completed. Now, we typically, when we think about multiple means of extra expression, it's this third one on here, the idea of using multiple media for communication. And so what that, it does imply that we would like to try to find different ways for students to complete assignments. It doesn't mean that every assignment has to now be an interpretive dance, but maybe what you want to do instead is consider where is their flexibility. So in other words, an example that I have with students that I'm working with right now is when I have them submit presentational writing assignments, their compositions could be a Word document, or I've started allowing them to write them by hand. And if their handwriting is neat enough for me to view, then they can take a picture of it and send that image to me. The idea is I've had so much trouble helping students to learn how to write diacritics in Word that I realized that if I have a little bit of flexibility with this, it'll make it such that students will feel more comfortable completing the compositions. PowerPoint presentation on culture, could they make a WordPress blog and still reach the same learning outcomes? The idea is think about the construct you're measuring, and is there another way you could get at that construct? Does it have to be in PowerPoint, or could it be something that could be completed as a web page or as a WordPress blog? And finally, I know all of us do this, but it's just something to check and make sure. Double check that length requirements are easily stated, citation formats, rubric. Actful has great IPA rubrics if you want to use some of those, and Actful recommends making rubrics available ahead of time to learners as well. And one thing I might suggest is be sure the directions don't rely on color, shape, position, or size. So for example, saying that answer these items according to the reading on the right. Someone using a screen reader won't know where the right is. They won't know that position in relation to what they just read, what was just read to them, I should say. Instead, you might want to say, answer these items according to such and such a reading, whatever the name of the title is, and then give that reading a title so that they can know what it is you're referring to. And also color, shape, size, different font sizes are not read necessarily by screen readers, and so they may not be accessible to learners if information relies on color, shape, position, or size. Getting a little bit closer to the end here. I got probably about 5 minutes here. Well, I was really interested in having us share some of our strategies, but I want to just take a little bit of time to be able to talk to you about some of the next steps and then give you some brief information about some of the work that I've done with UDL as well. So these are a good way to get started with these next steps, but there are 3 principles, 9 guidelines, 31 checkpoints. If you're serious about learning more about UDL, I'd recommend taking part in UDL workshop or UDL training. To that end, I want to talk a little bit about some training that I've done with some of my colleagues at Onondaga Community College and in Syracuse University. And I especially want to focus on a training that I was part of from 2016 through 2019. So at Onondaga Community College, we offered training in UDL to Onondaga Community College faculty, staff, and administrators for 4 years. And so I began this work with my colleagues, William Myhill and Nancy Carr, in 2016. And Nancy Carr is the director of the Office of Accessibility Resources at Onondaga Community College. At the time, William Myhill was the director of the Onondaga Pathways to Careers project, and now he's working at Syracuse University. And we continue to work together, and I'm very fortunate to have had the opportunity to work with them. And they proposed this idea of a multi-day UDL training for faculty. And they invited me to take part in the design and development of this training. So the UDL Academy was funded by the Onondaga Pathways to Careers project through a grant from the Office of Disability Employment Policy, which is through the U.S. Department of Labor. And so the Onondaga Pathways to Careers project prepares young adults with disabilities for skilled careers by providing them with the opportunity to enroll at Onondaga Community College, earn an industry recognized credential, and acquire a job that pays a living wage in high growth industries in the local workforce. So I worked with William and Nancy, and they wanted to support faculty who were working with students who were in Onondaga Pathways to Careers degree programs. And so they believed that if we offered a multi-day training in universal design for learning, this could be beneficial to the faculty who were working in those degrees. And then as time went on, we decided as well too that we'd offer this to other faculty members throughout Onondaga Community College. So as I mentioned, I was the faculty coordinator and lead instructional designer of the UDL Academy from 2016 to 2019, where we trained over 110 faculty, staff, and administrators. And we provided 3-day and 4-day trainings as well. where we taught participants about disability awareness and etiquette, the Americans with Disabilities Act, accommodations, adaptive technology, and of course, universal design for learning, among other topics. And we guided participants through the 5 steps of ADDIE as they worked to implement a UDL-based instructional intervention in a course that they believe presented a barrier to learners. So ADDIE is analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. And we asked them to first, during the summer training, analyze their current instruction, and then we guided them through the steps to design a UDL-based instructional intervention during the summer training. And we had, as a group, we had developed an instructional design model that we helped them to follow as they did this design analysis and design of their courses. Then between the end of the summer training and the start of the fall semester, participants develop their instructional interventions, and they consulted with William, Nancy, and me as needed. And also we had other people who came on to help us out, such as another UDL expert, Hetzi Vetch, who also was consulting with our participants as well, and also was doing the actual Universal Design for Learning training for the last 2 years. Participants would implement their instructional interventions in the fall, and then we would assist them in gathering data that we could use to help to evaluate the impact on students. And so if you're interested in learning more about the UDL Academy itself, we published an article on tech trends earlier this year. And so I'd recommend that you take a look at that if it's something you're interested in. We provide information about what we taught learners and how we walk through making adjustments to the UDL Academy from one year to the next. And this is a unique training because it was intense and multi-day, and typical UDL workshops that we had been finding in literature were much briefer, maybe 1 to 3 hours, sometimes longer, but this was a multi-day training. It was about more than just gaining knowledge. We wanted to see them have a change in their instruction. It wasn't just one workshop either. We also offered continual professional development throughout the semester, including guest speakers, brown bag sessions, in different ways the faculty could continue to learn more about UDL and accessibility. Faculty collaborated with each other during the summer and also during the fall, and we made sure that we were providing expert feedback along the way. Finally, we gathered data on 2 aspects of the UDL Academy. There were 2 main research projects, and it's still ongoing. The effect on participants themselves was one thing that was important to us, and also the effect of UDL Academy participants' courses. So we recently completed the first study, and it's been submitted to a journal, and it's under review, where we looked at what the effect of the UDL Academy on participant knowledge and ability to apply UDL was. And we found that there was a statistically significant increase in participant scores from pre-test to post-test on their total scores, as well as when we looked at the knowledge of UDL section and the ability to apply UDL section. So again, that's under review, and hopefully we'll be able to share more information about that in the future. So looking back at this goal for the session one last time, I want each of you to leave this talk today with knowledge of learner variability and how universal design for learning can account for learner variability. I also wanted each of you to leave here with at least one strategy for UDL and recommendations for accessibility that you could use in your own classroom. So I'm just going to ask, can you give me a thumbs up reaction if you think you got there? I'm seeing some, that's good. Excellent, I'm seeing some thumbs up. Well, my hope is that we hit our target today, that we have gotten there today. And if not, maybe you want to learn more about UDL. So you could implement a strategy in your course, but you could also seek some additional resources. And I said, oh, there's a mistake on here. It should say additional resource on the PowerPoint. You could seek professional development, or you can offer a workshop of your own as well too. Please contact me if you need help with resources, other information on how to do this at your college or university. I'm always open to helping out and to potentially even collaborating as the situation comes about. So thank you very much to all of you for being here today. Thank you, Angelica, for inviting me to present to all of you today. Thank you to my family for their support and for signing on to Zoom with me last night around 11 o'clock or midnight to sit across the room while we were on Zoom as I gave this talk, just so I could practice and feel more comfortable. And I would just invite all of you to please contact me if you have any questions. If you're interested in somehow collaborating in the future, I would very much look forward to the opportunity to continue to be in contact.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for a very informative presentation here. Please all help me in thanking Chris and applauding. Let's see if you can find the applause reaction here. So at this point in time, we would like to take questions